I'm going to invite Ashley Broatch from Harmoney. Ashley leads the design team at Harmoney, and she's going to step us through the steps that you want to take for designing the right customer experience. So, Ashley, on stage. Thanks.
Thank you. Clicker. So the only way to grow your business is to care about your customers. I want you all to stand up. Come on, come on. And so I'm going to ask you a few questions. If you answer no to any of the following questions, I want you to take a seat. Who of you here think that you know your customer? Oh, yeah. Who of you here think you know your customers enough to tell me what motivates them? Who of you here think you know your customers enough to tell me what drives certain behaviors? Lastly, who of you here think you know your customers well enough to tell me what they fear? This is pretty good. So the rest of you standing, please take a seat. Thank you so much for participating. So if we assess that, 100% of you here said that you know your customers. Good job. About, I'd say maybe 30% of you that were left standing think that you profoundly know your customer, which is also great. So it's my belief that in deeply knowing your customer, you can improve your bottom line. And I don't know of any business that isn't driving for that outcome. So I have a real passion for people, which is pretty handy considering the core part of my role is to embody the customer voice. Again, can I get a show of hands from people who use data in the decision making? Oh yeah, so it's pretty high, say 90% of you here. So data is a powerful tool. It can shine a light on what's happening, but it can't always tell you why. So my role is to supplement this data, usually provided from our amazing data science team, and I layer it with smaller data, things like customer interviews, ethnography, surveys. This allows us to understand the why behind our customers' actions. Not only is this important for UX as a practice, but having this level of awareness of our customers' actions across the wider business enables us to have clarity on why our customers think, feel, and behave as they do. And this empowers us to build services and design experiences that are truly meaningful to them. So I'm super excited to be talking about user experience, the role it plays in the bigger customer experience, and the challenges that we're working to overcome. One challenge in particular that will resonate with many of you in this room is trust, or more importantly, the lack thereof. So you've probably heard of the terms customer experience, user experience, UX, UI, but what is the difference between CX and UX? Well, CX, or customer experience, has a bigger umbrella. It covers a bigger amount of things. It's all about the interactions that a person has with your brand. User experience, or UX, is all about your end user's interaction with your product or service. It starts with the end user. It's all about diving deep into who your customers are and how they behave. It's aligning those insights to how they interact with your product. So as more people have access to computers and mobile devices today, along with it comes a greater need to understand and optimize how your customers use them. And although UX has become a popular term or a buzzword that gets thrown around, it's not really a new or a foreign concept. So we perceive UX to be this modern idea. But can anyone tell me when they think UX became a thing? Who thinks it was 5 years ago? In the last decade? Before that? So UX has actually been a century in the making. However, the term user experience was said to have been coined in the early 90s, when a man called Don Norman joined the team at Apple as a cognitive psychologist. So UX has an element of cognitive science and understanding human behavior. So as we grow, our experiences shape our bias, our opinions, and our assumptions. And this is all part of being human. However, these assumptions can be limiting. And what UX does is it allows us to validate whether these assumptions are the same as our users. For example, we're in financial services. Some of us may think, surely our customers know what a liability is. Surely our customers have completed an application form before. Surely our customers know what to expect when they complete an application form. But talking about finances, for many, is like bearing your soul. It's a sensitive subject, and usually one that requires a high level of tact and trust. In many ways, it's just like talking about sex. So just take a moment to think about how you would feel having a conversation about your sex life or your personal finances with a complete stranger. It's awkward, it's uncomfortable, it's not really the done thing. Both of these topics expose intimate and sensitive things about us. And if we're honest, many of us would probably feel a bit more comfortable talking about our sex lives rather than our personal finances. And that's because today the subject of money is perceived as such taboo. The subject of money comes coupled with fear of judgment. It comes coupled with fear of being assessed or being compared. It comes coupled with fears about how your financial status will be perceived. So by being in financial services and being privy to this sort of intimate and sensitive information, we are all operating in an arena where trust is paramount. The ironic part is, those fears are completely justified, because we all do it. And in financial services, we'll judge you, we'll assess you, and we'll compare you. So with regulations and compliance that surround the financial sector, how do we possibly build trust? Well, at Harmoney, we use user experience and a human-centered design approach to tackle this complex problem. Research is a core function at Harmoney. Not only do we pride ourselves on being data-driven, but we believe in being empathetic and personal in our approach. So first things first, we got to know our customers. And that's not what we think our customers would say or what we think they would behave like. It's actually getting to know our customers from the customers themselves.
Starting off a new business, and I went ahead and applied for the loan and told them exactly what I wanted and why I wanted it and what I intended to do with it, and submitted it. Small businesses are crushed by a lack of capital often. It's hard to get it when you're going out to do the next piece, even if you've had a good income, and I've had a good income. That was all I needed, was somebody to take a punt on me and recognise that I had experience in what I was doing and I was going to do the next piece. My loan got listed on the marketplace on a Friday. Within 2 hours, I was told it had been funded. It was simple and it was painless.
And so just by putting a face to the name, hearing Carol's story, you now have a sense of empathy for the customers that use Harmoney. But why is empathy important? At Harmoney, we believe that empathy influences design. It tears down assumptions and creates this emotional connection. This in turn creates common ground between us. This emotional connection is a basic human need. We desire to feel like we belong, and we desire to feel like we share something in common. If we're able to provide this experience for our customers give it back tenfold. Now, some of us are quite far removed from our customers in the real world. We forget that we're designing products and services for real people, for human beings. We constantly need to remind ourselves that real people borrow money for real reasons.
I'm using my personal loan to achieve a long time dream of being able to set up my own photography business. So now Human Nature Creative Studio is up and running. I've my website up, and I've been able to purchase equipment and computers with it. Setting up the business was important to me because, one, I really wanted to prove to myself that I'll be able to set up something and get it up and running, and I'm providing a service that people want and people like. To people who are looking at getting a personal loan, I tell them that my experience with Harmoney was probably the best ever. They're really helpful. They are simply the best people that you can deal with. I'd recommend it to anybody.
All right, so in true co-design fashion, I want each and every one of you to collaborate with me in a quick empathy exercise. I'd like you all to get up and move around. I want you to introduce yourself to a complete stranger in the room, ideally not someone at your table. Ask each other a few questions, get to know each other. guys. 30 seconds remaining. All right, everyone, time's up. Good work. Take a seat. I just want to say, what an awesome job you guys just did. You all got amongst it, I'm really proud. So this exercise shows us that connection is the beginning of a relationship. And relationships build trust. Trust is built on human interaction, and as relationships grow, so does trust. Developing relationships is a key piece that gives us feedback. And feedback in any relationship is valuable because it will tell you if you're on the right path and going in the right direction. Take your own personal relationships, for example. Without feedback, how do you grow? You'll be surprised how many of your customers want to give you feedback. And it doesn't have to be expensive and it doesn't have to be time-consuming. 9 times out of 10, your customers want to be listened to. They want to be included and they want to be taken on that journey. They want the opportunity to share their experiences with you, albeit good and sometimes bad, and most will do so without compensation. And so there's a whole range of reasons why people borrow money. Some that we may judge as being acceptable or unacceptable. But again, I remind you that we're designing for human beings and for real people. We're designing to solve and alleviate their problems. So without deeply knowing our customers and having empathy for them, we don't have visibility over any of this. And this is why we're here, and this is why we're innovating, and this is why our products have seen such success. So mitigating risk is probably UX's biggest business value. So by understanding the right problems up front, Harmoney is able to minimize time, effort, and ultimately dollars being wasted on a feature or an idea that our customers don't want, they don't need, and they won't use. We've seen success in our customer satisfaction. We've seen success in our application conversion. And we've seen this in our bottom line, having just celebrated $1 billion in lending. So to wrap things up, I've summarized some notes which I believe are the key takeaways. So number 1, take time to get to know your customer and really get to know their problems. It doesn't have to be expensive and it doesn't have to be time consuming. Number 2, always question if these solutions that you come up with actually alleviate those problems, and make sure that you get them validated with real customer feedback as early as you can in the design cycle. Lastly, trust is fragile, and even more so in the digital space. And this is why having empathy and connection is pivotal in building strong, long-lasting relationships with your customers. So lastly, I would just love to thank Binu, the team at Finnotec, for creating this platform for like-minded folk to get together, learn from one another. I'd also like to extend this thanks to each and every one of you for taking part in my UX exercises and being here today. I hope you've all been able to take something away that you can apply to your own areas of business to improve your customers' experience moving forward.